Imagine this. You wake up in a room with no windows, no doors. There's no pain, no torture. No one is yelling, no one threatens you. There are just three of you, forever. And you slowly begin to realize, this is worse than hell. They talk, laugh, criticize, observe. But the worst part isn't them, it's you. Your reaction to them. Your craving to be liked. Your desperate hunger to be understood, to be justified, to be seen as good. You become a prisoner, not of people, but of their gaze. You stop being yourself. You become the version of yourself that lives in their minds. A mask, and that's when it hits you. You're not in hell, you are hell. This isn't a nightmare, it's a scene from Jean-Paul Sartre's play, No Exit. Three dead souls locked in a room for eternity. No flames, no devils. Only one brutal realization, hell is other people. But what if we flip it? What if other people are just mirrors? What if hell isn't their judgment, but your inability to escape your own? We live in the age of constant exposure. Every post, every word, every silence is a performance. Thousands of eyes silently watching, judging. Even when you're alone, you're not. You're living inside your own perception of how others perceive you. You become the image. You smile when you want to scream. You agree when you're breaking inside. You say, I'm fine, while a storm rages within. And no one knows, not even you. Because you've done this for so long, you've forgotten who's underneath. But why do we cling so desperately to this act? Why are we so terrified of being real, when it's the only thing that can set us free? Why, even when we're alone, do we feel watched? Why has our own inner voice become our harshest judge? How did we become the only creature capable of suffering from itself? Sartre offered no comfort, no salvation. He simply said, you are your choice. But what if you don't know who's choosing? What if your choices aren't really yours, but echoes of childhood, trauma, fear, shame? What if your hell is the eternal attempt to become someone you never were? You can leave the room. You can throw away your phone. You can run, change your name, your face, your past. But you can't run from yourself. So ask yourself this. Who's the one watching you from inside? Whose voice is in your head? If you don't know, you may already be in the room, and the only way out is not to run, but to face who's waiting inside. If these questions shake something in you, it's not by accident. Maybe you've been inside that room for years without knowing it. And if you're still here, you're ready. Subscribe. Not for content, for confrontation, for thoughts that don't let you sleep, for truths that aren't convenient, but necessary. This isn't another channel, it's a mirror, and maybe a way out. You stand in front of a mirror, but not the kind you can break, not glass. This mirror is deeper, the one you carry inside, and the reflection isn't your face. It's the gaze, that constant gaze, that silent judgment, that voice that never stops asking, are you enough? You might call it a conscience, you might think it's just your mind, but the truth is, it's not even your voice. That voice is made of everyone else. The teacher who shamed you, the parent who said you're not trying hard enough, the church that called your thoughts sin, the friends who laughed when you showed weakness. Piece by piece, you inherited this watch, this inner warden. He lives in your head now, and he never sleeps. He tells you what's wrong, how to act, who to become. And the more you obey, the further you drift from yourself. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of you you've buried. The anger, the fear, the desire, the wildness. Everything you weren't allowed to be, you locked it away. But it didn't disappear, it waits, and it watches. Sartre saw it differently, but just as sharply. To him, the greatest prison is the gaze of the other. The moment someone sees you, you stop being I and become it, an object, a role, a reflection of what they expect. So you start living not from within, But from outside, how do I look? Do they like me? Will they still love me if I say this? And just like that, you're no longer living, you're performing. You don't speak to express, you speak to manage perception. You don't choose, you conform. You don't exist, you adjust. And it's subtle. It feels like maturity. It feels like being smart, polite, self-aware, but really, it's just fear. Fear of being seen and rejected for who you really are. Nietzsche saw this too. He called it slave morality, a system created by the weak to keep the strong from becoming themselves. He believed we're terrified of our own potential, that it's easier to fit in than to break free, easier to be obedient than alone, easier to stay in chains and call it virtue. He asked, if you had to live this life again and again forever, would you change anything? And if the answer is yes, then maybe you're not really living, because the truth is, you were trained to run from yourself, to numb, to scroll, to laugh things off, to succeed, to optimize, to smile, and bury the scream inside you. Aldous Huxley called it the tyranny of comfort. He warned of a world where no one thinks deeply anymore, not because they're forbidden, but because they're too distracted to care. And that's where we are now, number polished, efficient, but disconnected from each other, from purpose, from ourselves. You walk through life like a ghost. You do what you should. You say what's expected. You never stop. Because if you did, you might hear something in the silence, something real, something raw, something terrifying and holy. You think you're fine. You smile. You work. You answer, I'm good, before anyone even finishes the question. But something feels off. You don't scream, but your jaw is always clenched. You don't cry, but you can't take a deep breath. You're not angry, but everything irritates you. You're not lost, but every day feels heavy. This is how hell hides. Not in fire, not in violence, but in routine, in normal, in I'm just tired. You've worn the mask for so long. You forgot what your own skin feels like. And here's the terrifying part. The mask works. You get through the day. People like you fit in. You even succeed. But you can't sleep. You can't rest. Because a part of you knows. This version of you is a performance. Every smile that isn't yours. Every yes you didn't mean. Every time you stayed quiet when your soul wanted to scream. It adds up, and it doesn't go away. It just goes deeper, and it waits. Psychologists call it suppression. Neuroscientists call it overregulation. But you know what it really is? Abandonment. You abandoned yourself. For safety. For acceptance. For peace. And now? Now there's a war inside you. You've trained your brain to equate authenticity with danger. To link honesty with rejection. To treat real emotion like a threat. So you adapt. You shapeshift. You chase approval like a drug. Because somewhere along the way, being seen became a survival need. And like any addict, you suffer in silence. Every like feels good, but not enough. Every compliment is sweet, but empty. You keep going, but you're running on nothing. Because at the core of it all, no one really knows you, not even you. And that's the cost. That's the consequence of hiding. You become a ghost in your own life. You smile through anxiety. You laugh over grief. You perform confidence while drowning in doubt. You help everyone while you quietly fall apart. And the world rewards it. They love how strong you are. They admire how together you seem. They call you inspiring when all you want is for someone to ask if you're okay and mean it. You feel unseen because you are. You're hiding in plain sight, and the longer it goes on, the harder it becomes to remember who you ever were. Sartre knew this. He didn't write about hell as fire. He wrote about hell as mirrors, as rooms with no exit, as people watching you and you watching yourself. The trap isn't outside, it's inside. It's the quiet voice that says, don't speak, don't feel, don't risk. It's the fear that being yourself means being alone. So you stay in the role, in the room, in the performance, because it's safer to be accepted for who you're not than to be rejected for who you are. But here's what no one tells you. That mask you wear, it doesn't protect you. It kills you, slowly, quietly, every single day. And if you're still here, still listening, you know this isn't theory. This is you. And maybe it's time to stop performing. Because underneath the fear, the silence, the exhaustion, there's someone waiting to come back. Someone who remembers who you were before you learned to disappear. If this speaks to something real inside you, don't stay silent. Like this video, subscribe. Not for entertainment, for remembrance. You're not the only one hiding, but you could be one of the first to step out. There comes a moment when the mask starts to crack. You look in the mirror and there's a stranger. You speak and the words feel fake. You smile and something deep inside you stays completely silent, still, cold. That moment is the beginning of rebellion. Not rebellion against the world, not against the system, against the self you've built to survive. But here's the terrifying truth. You've been pretending for so long. You no longer know who you are without the act. You adapted, you pleased, you performed, you became what others needed. And in the process, you lost what you were meant to be. Now, to find your way back, you'll have to betray everything that once protected you. And that's what real freedom feels like. Not a celebration, but a death. Sartre called it a curse. Man is condemned to be free. It means there are no more instructions, no maps, no savior coming. You choose, and you own it. Every meaning, every value, every direction, you build it yourself, brick by brick, breath by breath. That's the rebellion. To whisper, no more pretending. To take off the costume, step off the stage, and risk being nobody, and just to feel real again. And yes, it will cost you. You'll lose comfort. You'll lose certainty. You might lose people who only loved your mask. But what you gain is the one thing no one else can give you, yourself. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It begins in silence. Just sit. No phone, no distractions, no role to play. Pause, breathe. Let the noise settle, and in that silence, a voice will rise. The one you buried, the one you betrayed. Don't argue with it. Don't try to fix it. Just listen. Then write, not for Instagram, not to be wise or deep or liked. Just write what you've been afraid to say, all of it. Raw, ugly, honest. You don't have to show it to anyone. You just have to show it to yourself. And when you're ready, drop one mask. One, say something real, not to the world, just to someone who matters, or even to a mirror. That's enough to begin. And if you're still asking, but who would I be if no one was watching? Then you're close. Because when that question stops scaring you, you'll be free. You can't escape yourself, but you can finally return, not as a stranger, not as a character, as the one you were before the lie. And that is the real revolution. Imagine it. You're finally alone. Not lonely, alone. No audience, no scrolling, no pretending. No one is watching, not even you. And in that stillness, something moves. You hear it, a whisper, a breath, a voice that's always been there, just buried under everything you thought you had to be. It doesn't shout. It doesn't sell you anything. It just says, I'm still here. I never left. I am you. This is the final truth. You are the prison, but you're also the key. No one's coming to save you because the door was never locked. You were just waiting for permission, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be told you're allowed to be real now. But no one can give you that because the only one you've truly been waiting for is yourself. And now the waiting is over. You are not broken. You are not late. You're just waking up. The silence you feared is where your real voice lives, and the emptiness inside you, That's not the end. That's the beginning, a blank canvas, a rebirth. But only if you're willing to stop running, because this world, it will give you everything to keep you asleep. Scroll, like, performance, consume, distract, escape. But you were not born to escape. You were born to stand there, naked, in the truth of what you are. No mask, no audience, just breath and presence. You were born to stop asking for permission and finally give yourself the right to be, not to be perfect, not to be impressive, just to be honest. That's the real awakening. That's the door they told you didn't exist. And here's the cruel beauty of it all. In Sartre's No Exit, the room has no lock. The characters could walk out at any time, but they don't, because they're addicted to the gaze, addicted to judgment, addicted to the role. They stay in the room because they've forgotten how to be free. Don't stay. Don't repeat that story. You are the room, but you are also the one who walks out. So, walk out. Step out of the mirror. Step out of the role. Step back into something raw, into something sacred, into something real, yourself. And if something in you woke up just now, even for a second, hold on to it. Don't let the noise drown it again. Like this video, subscribe, not to follow a trend, but to stay close to what's real, to keep asking, to keep remembering, to keep walking out of the room. This isn't just a channel. It's a place where you can finally stop pretending and start becoming.